Let's talk about a story that every single founder, every builder really needs to hear. It's the incredible rise and the even more incredible fall of OFO, the bike-sharing giant. But, this isn't just another story about a business failing. It's a huge lesson in the dangerous illusion of growth when it's not backed up by real, actual learning.
You remember these, right? If you were in a big city around 2017, you couldn't miss them. This sea of bright yellow bikes just popping up on every street corner, almost overnight. It really felt like the future of getting around town. And then, poof. Just as fast as they showed up, they were gone. So the big question we're going to tackle is, how does a company that visible, that everywhere, just completely collapse?
So it all kicked off in Beijing way back in 2016. And the idea? It was brilliant. Just dead simple. A fleet of bikes with no docks. You just use an app to unlock one, ride it for a bit, and then leave it right where you needed to be. It was the perfect solution for that tricky last-mile problem, and people absolutely loved it. The whole concept just spread like wildfire, first all over China, and then pretty much the rest of the world.
So from the outside looking in, if you were an investor or in the media or even a city official, OFO looked like an absolute rocket ship. The numbers were just insane. Millions of bikes rolled out in hundreds of cities. And all of this crazy expansion created this powerful illusion of success. But what we're about to see is that all that activity, all that motion, was basically a giant smokescreen for a really deep, fundamental problem.
And the crazy part? Just how fast this all went down. I mean, look at this timeline. You see the launch in 2016 in Beijing, and then boom. By 2017, they're everywhere. All across China, Europe, Asia. It was explosive. But by 2018, you start to see the first signs of trouble, the first real cracks in the system. And by 2019, it's all over. We're talking financial collapse and a total shutdown. A 3-year journey from being a global phenomenon to a complete flameout. Wow.
So, what was going on behind the scenes? What was fueling this frantic race to grow? Well, it was a mindset that was built on a few really shaky, untested ideas. The leadership basically assumed that if you just threw enough bikes onto the street, people would automatically become daily riders. They believed that a super low price was the only thing that mattered, and the biggest mistake of all? They thought they could figure out what users actually wanted later, after they were already huge. That right there, that was the fatal flaw.
Okay, so you've got these powerful but totally unchecked assumptions driving every single decision. What happens when the real world doesn't play along? Well, the system starts to break down, and the cracks begin to show for everyone to see.
And look, these weren't little hints. They were huge, flashing red lights. Bikes were breaking or just vanishing way faster than anyone planned for. Sidewalks turned into these graveyards of yellow bikes, which made city officials furious. And here's the real kicker. Tons of people would try the service once, have a lousy experience with a broken bike or something, and then just never come back. The system was basically screaming that it had a problem, but the company was so obsessed with growth, it was completely deaf.
So you can probably guess what happened next, right? The mess on the streets turned into a full-blown crisis in the office. All that chaos on the ground led directly to massive financial pressure. The company started burning through cash. Frustrated users started demanding their deposits back, all at once. And those great relationships with cities, they soured fast. The internal problem was now a very, very public crisis.
So we've seen what happened, an incredibly fast rise and an even faster fall. But the real question is why? And that gets us to the real heart of the matter here. See, the problem wasn't just a bad business model or tough competition. It was the complete and total absence of a system designed for learning.
I want you to let this one really sink in. Growth moved ahead of understanding. That's it. That's the single sentence that explains the entire OFO disaster. They got so caught up in the activity of putting bikes everywhere, they never stopped to build an understanding of their users, their habits, or the messy realities of the system they were building.
And this visual just nails it, doesn't it? It all starts here, in this growth phase, where all that frantic action was hiding these deep underlying problems. Well, that inevitably leads to the pressure phase, where all those problems just explode out into the open, cash running out, refund requests flooding in, and that, of course, leads right here to the shutdown phase. The bottom line is, the company was always playing defense, always reacting, instead of proactively learning how to prevent the fires in the first place.
All right, so it's easy for us to sit here and criticize after the fact. But what's the constructive lesson? What could OFO have actually done differently? Well, the answer is all about shifting your focus from building a growth engine to building a learning engine.
This chart really helps clear things up. A company usually has a marketing plan, right? That's the long-term vision for the brand.
Then you've got a go-to-market plan, which is all about launching fast and making a splash. And OFO was a rock star at that part. But what they were missing was this third crucial piece, a system for continuous learning. A real learning engine that's always on, always testing those assumptions, and always paying attention to what's actually happening out there.
So what exactly is one of these modern learning engines? Well, it's a system where you use AI and automation to do the heavy lifting, to spot those little signals that OFO missed, like repair costs going up in one city or fewer repeat riders in another. But, and this is so important, a human, the founder, is still the one in charge of judgment and direction. Think of it this way. It's not there to replace you. It's there to be your superpower, helping you see the vital signs before they turn into a full-blown crisis.
But, okay, gotta put a big warning label on this. AI is not a magic crystal ball. It can be confidently totally wrong. It's a thing called hallucination. It might literally just make stuff up that sounds good but isn't true, or it might take a super complex situation and boil it down to one simple, wrong cause. So the rule is simple. Treat anything an AI tells you as a starting point for your own thinking, not as the gospel truth. Always, always verify.
All right, so we've been through the whole OFO saga. Let's bring this home. What does this all mean for you? Whether you're building a company, leading a project, or just trying to get a new idea off the ground, how do you avoid falling into this same trap?
So how do you actually do this? The good news is you don't need a giant team or a ton of money. You can start really simple. First, just write down your core beliefs, the things you think are true about your customers or your idea, just like OFO had. Then, cook up some small, cheap tests to see if those beliefs hold up with real people. Check the results regularly, maybe use some free tools to spot patterns in the feedback. And here's the most important part. Be willing to change your plan based on what you learn, not what you hoped would be true.
You know, at the end of the day, it really all boils down to this one simple thing. It's not about the funding, it's not about how fast you move, it's not about being on the news. The one practice that separates the businesses that last from the flashy ones that fail is just steady, disciplined attention to learning. It's a habit. It's a mindset.
So I'm going to leave you with this question to chew on for your own work. Take a hard look at your processes, at the numbers you track, at your real priorities. Are you building an engine that's just designed for speed and growth? Or are you building an engine that's designed to learn, to adapt, and to truly understand the world around it? Because as the story of OFO shows us, the answer to that question can make all the difference.